It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Southern Oregon's head beach volleyball coach, Coach Paul Elliot. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college beach volleyball?
Well, that's an interesting question because, being a college indoor volleyball coach, and I didn't really, I was playing the game and didn't really think that beach volleyball would be a college sport. So it wasn't like some dream in my 30s, hey, I'm going to be a beach volleyball coach. And then all of a sudden it's in the Olympics. All of a sudden it's a college sport, fastest growing women's sport in college athletics. And so when my former school that I coached at before reached out and said, we're adding beach volleyball, do you want to be a part of it? I immediately knew that my wife and I wanted to get back to Ashland, and it was a great opportunity. So that's when it all happened about 4 years ago.
Of course, for you as a player, what was that experience like playing on the AAA circuit?
Oh, it was a dream come true. I got my AAA. I got an opportunity for a 2-year span to play against the best players in the world. I have a very proud 0-16 pro beach volleyball record. I'm proud of every point I scored. So it was just, phenomenal to be out there with the best athletes in the world in that sport.
What was that experience like competing professionally in beach volleyball?
Well, for me, it was, I was raising a family. I was married. I didn't get the same kind of training that all the other players did. I won a AA tournament in Santa Cruz, which got me a AAA rating, and I was invited to play in the West Coast swing, if you will, of pro beach volleyball. And, so if I got eliminated on day one of the tournament, they actually hired me to officiate as a down official on the championship court the next day. So they paid me to stick around and do some officiating, which was seeing Karch Karai and St. John Smith and Timmons and Dodd and all those guys up close doing their semifinals and final matches was really fun.
Of course, after your professional time, what was it like getting into coaching beach volleyball and working with Central Coast as a director?
Well, I had 16 years at Southern Oregon University where I coached indoor and moved away from the Monterey Peninsula and the Santa Cruz area. And I coached there for 16 years. And so when we went back to Monterey, my family, a family emergency kind of sent us there. That's when I hooked up with my young daughters. The two younger daughters started playing club volleyball, and of course I had to coach them, so I was doing that. And then I just wanted a summer gig. I was a school teacher, AD, coach. I wanted the summer gig. I was, didn't want to have the whole summer off, so I ran the program, and it's so much fun to go down to Carmel Beach on an evening 3 days a week to spread the love of beach volleyball. So I didn't have anything extra out there thinking this is leading to a career as a college coach because it wasn't on the horizon yet.
What was that experience like going to Southern Oregon and being the head volleyball coach?
Wow. Yeah, I was coaching high school. I got the Southern Oregon job in 1991, and it was being on a college campus with college athletics it was hard to get used to having all these men and women walking by going, "Coach, hey coach, how you doing, coach?" It took like a year to get used to being on a college campus and having the dedication of a year-round sport, not doing this sport, now you're off doing basketball, now you're off doing track or softball or baseball or whatever it is, having them be single-minded focused. They're there to be this sport, and you're playing year-round. Uh, it was just great to be able to develop the athletes instead of saying, okay, I'll see you next fall. So it was really a magical experience to get in and be able to train them year round.
While on the indoor side at Southern Oregon, what were some of the things that you were able to accomplish?
Well, I think the number one thing is in my 16 years, we had 39 seniors in 16 years, and all 39 of them graduated. So not every one of my athletes graduated from college, but once they made it to their senior season, all 39 graduated. We went through a stretch of time in 2001 through 2004 where we won 16 straight regional championship, 16 straight regional championship matches and 4 straight regional championships, and got the volleyball team to the national tournament for the first time and made it 4 years in a row.
Of course, what was that like going down as the winningest coach on the indoor side of volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, it's Brandon, it's really not. I think there's time to look back at it. And when I left Southern Oregon, certainly I was very proud of that. Um, for me, it was, boy, the players made plays when they needed to, because it always comes back to the players. Because sooner or later, I mean, you can train them, you can practice them, and then when you get it into sets and into matches, and it's crunch time, they either make plays or they don't. And I had a bunch of kids that made a lot of plays.
Of course, for you as a coach, what was that feeling like coming back to Southern Oregon and becoming the head beach volleyball coach?
Magical. Absolutely. Like sometimes I stop and think how fantastic it really is. Not only am I coaching beach volleyball, which is amazing in itself, I assist the indoor team with the gentleman who took over for me when I left, and I've known him since he was 19 years old. So to be able to assist the indoor team and run my own program, it's just been great. And the athletes, this generation of young women, they're impressive. They are so impressive with their work ethic, with their athleticism, their personalities. I'm just so impressed with the whole recruiting process and who these women are, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
How have you been able to take what you've had experience and in the indoor side to transfer over to the beach volleyball side?
Well, it's still volleyball. You still have to contact the ball, control the ball, be a master at having the ball do what you want it to do and putting it where you need it to go. So that hasn't changed. The difference is you're putting your team, your roster, you're putting them into pairs. And they're the ones that are going out and competing. So there's 3 matches going on at the same time. So it's tricky to pair people together. It was tricky to learn how to pay attention to your own court and not start looking at the other courts to see, because basically you've got 5 matches that are going to be played, 5 doubles matches, and whichever team wins more of those 5 wins the match. So it doesn't matter which 3 win the match, as long as they win their matches, you'll win the overall match. So it's just been an adjustment with learning how to pair people up, learning the mental side, dealing with the weather. I look at the weather more than I ever did. And I was an athletic director where I had outdoor sports and I had to look at the weather all the time. But we look at the weather because, like we don't practice today. Tomorrow's supposed to be 42 and raining. So, and we'll practice. So it's just, it's just dealing with weather, dealing with the environment, the sun, the wind, all of it is just so much fun.
As a head coach, what has it been like taking volleyball players that play indoor and transferring them over to also dual athletes of playing beach volleyball too?
That's a great question. And I know that certainly first year college programs do lean on their indoor team to fill out the roster. And we did a bit of that last year. This year, we only have 2 indoor players that are on the current squad of 24. Um, it's sometimes it translates, sometimes it doesn't. Um, but there is certainly the point where you're watching your indoor players in practice and knowing they're playing their senior year of indoor and saying, come on, come out and play with me this winter and spring. Let's go. Because you can see how they have the skill set to handle uh, all the things that you have to do on a sand court. You have to be the passer, the setter, the hitter, the defender. You're doing it all. You don't just go be a front row player and block and hit and play a little defense. You got to do everything. So it makes it really fun for the athletes, and it makes it fun to see athletes and see how indoor athletes can translate to the beach.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the beach volleyball program?
Well, I really felt like the recruits that I brought in um, are helping me build that culture. We're building it together, and certainly a culture of selflessness, putting the team ahead of yourself, giving your all the time. And then also, Brandon, it's about being willing to be a family and being willing to, not have everything go right all the time, not be happy with everything all the time. And how do you handle that? Are you talking to people behind the scenes and, oh, why is he doing this, or why she say that, or why? So we're about being able to have a hard conversation. We're about being able to talk to each other, because the theory is, if I'm asking things of you, then I'm telling you that I need you, not that you're doing something wrong. It's not calling people out, it's calling people up. So by us having a conversation, like I might say to you, Brandon, I need you to go harder today. Let's go. You need to get going. Now, that would irk a lot of people and say, well, you're not my coach. You're not this. And the culture is, I'm helping you because I need you. You are so valuable to me that I need you to be with me in this right now. So that culture allows people to not have the old, what's the terminology? Oh, she or he's a cancer on the team. Well, what that means to me is they're talking behind everyone's back and they're saying, why aren't I playing? Why aren't I doing this? And if I come to you and I say, gosh, I can't believe I'm not one of the 5 top pairs and I should be doing this and I should be doing that, I would want you to say to me, well, tell me who you're better than. Have you talked to coach? This isn't a conversation to have with me. You are where you are. Go talk to coach, or tell me who you're better than. And tell them truthfully where you think they're at, because if you really love each other and you really say you want to be a team, then you got to have those hard conversations.
What have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far as the head beach volleyball coach?
I brought students to campus because of beach volleyball, which is what they wanted me. It's one of my job descriptions. You will bring students on campus because of beach volleyball, not just take the indoor kids and make them beach volleyball players. You need to bring student athletes. And I signed 13 freshmen last year that are currently on campus playing for me now. Out of those 13 freshmen, out of the top 6 pairs I have, 8 of them are true freshmen. So I was able to recruit. I was able to get young, athletic beach volleyball players. And these kids, these high school kids that came that are now young college athletes, young women playing college sports, they were indoor players, of course, during their childhood and their high school career, but they've played a fair amount of beach volleyball because COVID helped that. They could go outside and play beach volleyball. And there's a lot of clubs that have added the beach volleyball element into their club program. So they were on clubs that played beach volleyball. So they're skilled at what they do.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against each week?
We compete against Corbin University. They're in Salem. Northwest University is in Kirkland, Washington, which is outside of Seattle. Bushnell University, which is the former Northwest Christian University, is in Eugene, Oregon. College of Idaho is in Caldwell, Idaho, which is about 20 miles from Boise. And those are the 5 teams out of the 12 Cascade Collegiate Conference schools that are playing beach volleyball. We hope to add Multnomah out of Portland and Eastern Oregon out of LeGrand, Oregon, to be a part of the conference next year. So there'll be 7, but right now there's 5 of us playing. So we will actually compete with the CalPAC, the California Pacific Athletic Association, and teams like St. Catherine and Benedictine and Arizona Christian and some schools so that down there, and we'll compete with them in the Northwest Regional to get to the national tournament. We'll be doing that in middle of April.
What does a typical home beach volleyball match look like?
A party. It looks like a party. So we'll have all 4 schools come to us on the very first one on March 1st and 2nd. So they're coming to Southern Oregon because I think they think it'll be the best weather. So they come, we decided to have it us. And our commissioner of the Cascade Conference is all on board. He knows that we're going to have a 6th team by 2025. So he's been very involved with building this. And he's going to come, they're going to bring their media person, and they're going to really splash out this first event. So we're super excited about that. There's a tent, all teams will come on site and they'll all have a tent set up. They'll have tents all over the place. There's music playing all the time. And there'll be a 10 o'clock match. Then there's a 12 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, and a 4 o'clock. So it's all day long. It's a little bit like a track meet or a swim meet where it's lots of schools there and everyone's watching, and it's super fun. It's intense, but it's also a casual, respectful intensity where the players appreciate each other. It's a cool sport for sure.
Of course, as you talked about having an all-day meet, what does that look like for y'all, and how do you keep the momentum of your players, especially playing in the heat?
Well, we're not going to be playing in the heat. We hope it's 50 degrees. That'll be good at first. It's about hydrating. Our first day we play at 12 and 4. So we will have to be responsible for being hosts. So I'll bring them in a little bit before the 10 o'clock match. We have to rake courts. And I have some extra athletes that won't be playing in these matches that will be able to help out with some of this stuff. But the hosting duties can be a little distracting. It's a little easier just to go to someone else's site because we'll all go to Seattle next. The schools will all go and we'll play each other again. So it's a little easier to know we're playing at 10 and 2 and we can leave and go get lunch and come back and all that. And we'll have to stick around and help out with the event. But it's all about, hydrating and fueling up and these athletes are used to going to tournaments and playing all day. So it's not that outside of the box for them.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Well, that's another good question, Brandon. You're pretty good at this. I get them on campus. I have not recruited one athlete since I've been back that didn't come on campus. Now, there is a Brazilian from outside of Sao Paulo that I'm talking to that I would sign in a heartbeat based on her video. However, I like to get them on campus because I want them to be happy. They have to fit academically. It has to fit. They have to be a good student. We had a 3.51 team GPA with 24 athletes in the fall. So we're super excited about that. So academics is key. That's what they're there for, is to get an education. So it's important that the academic and the community fits for them. It's a place they want to live for 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And then I want to enjoy them. I don't want the star athlete that's, doesn't have the same vision as I do, doesn't have the same idea of what a good culture is that I do. Coaches really want to be around athletes they enjoy. And I can honestly say all 24 of these athletes, I love them to death. They're all great in their own way. And so I'm really looking for that. As far as the game is concerned, they've got to have ball control. They've got to control the ball, be able to put it where they need to put it. I want ball control. And we need some size and we need defenders. So you need the blockers and defenders. And so you're looking to fill out a roster that can handle the rigors of the sport, which is being able to an all-around athlete, an all-around volleyball player that's able to do all the skills.
What is it like getting to see those prospective student athletes fall in love with the campus and the beach volleyball facility?
It's great. And Ashland is a great town. It's beautiful. It's 2,000 feet elevation. It's on the backside of the Siskiyou Mountains, just inside California, just inside from California. It's a beautiful town, wonderful university. My current athletes, they are the ones that do the recruiting. I get them on campus. I meet with them. I do my thing. And then I let them take them to dinner. I let them show them around campus. I let the athletes talk to the athletes, because then if I'm not there, they can have a real conversation. So what's he like? What's he all about? And hopefully they say he's great. And maybe they don't. Who knows? But they get all the credit, because every one of these, I have 8 returners. So we have 16 new players on campus, 3 JUCO transfers and 13 true freshmen. And they were the returning players were responsible for being a part of every one of those recruit visits. They were instrumental in getting them to, just another reason for them to want to come.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Southern Oregon uniform for the first time and your seniors putting it on for the last time?
Wow. Well, we had one last year put her uniform on for the last time, and she was an indoor player as well. And she was also from Brazil, and we loved her so much that it was such a celebration of her at that end. To see them, it's kind of funny. You're asking, reflective questions, which are great to ask, and they're important to take time to reflect on. And at the same time, we're grinding away. We got our head down. We're working. We're building. We're growing and adapting every day. And so sometimes it's like a moment where I'm out there on the court and I look over and I see 2 freshmen playing, and I get all emotional. And so it's spotty, because really we have our head down. We're working. We're going. So it's not like something I think about all the time. And when I do, it can be very humbling.
What is it like getting to see those players go play professional beach volleyball on the pro circuit?
Well, if we have any, I'll let you know. So far, that is a tough get. That women's beach volleyball at the professional level is a level of, there's ladies playing for UCLA that don't make it to there. So it's a tough get. I did have a player that was on the indoor team before all the beach thing that made a splash in beach volleyball after her career. So it can happen. I think more importantly, is that, this experience is giving them a lifetime sport. And I know that indoor volleyball you can play later on in your years as well, but there's something about beach volleyball that becomes a lifetime sport. So they're going to play into their 40s and into their 50s, and they're going to go play tournaments. They're going to, if they choose to, and a lot of them will, because they're learning a lifetime sport.
What are some of your future plans for the beach volleyball program moving forward?
Continuing to grow, continuing to build the program into national prominence, and not worry about that. Let that come naturally. Create an environment that is like an infinite volleyball player, a volleyball player that the joy comes from the training, the joy comes from being together in practice, the joy comes from working hard in the weight room, all of that, and let that end result. So I could say a national championship. And if you ask the question, would you like to win a national championship? The answer would be yes. I'd love that. And I'm not going to focus on it, because that's not where you get your work done. If the carrot is always the win, the scoreboard at the end, I just don't think that's the way you go about training. I think you train and let that take care of itself, because I don't want the pressure to be on wins and loss. I want them to grow and improve and do good in school and become a better teammate, learn how to deal with things that'll help them in life, either with their families they have or with their jobs they have later on.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college beach volleyball?
I missed the very beginning of it. I heard the freshman beach volleyball. What was the first part?
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year?
Soak it all in. Soak it all in. Enjoy being a college athlete. Enjoy the community. Enjoy the other sports. We're a very tight athletic department at Southern Oregon. We support, they're at the women's wrestling matches. We're at the soccer games. We're at football. We're at basketball. We have a very tight knit. There's 500 athletes on this campus, and they all support each other. And that has a lot to do with our athletic directors and the coaches and everything. But the advice is to not get ahead of yourself. Soak it all in, develop, stay the course. Don't try and do things too quickly. Just, stop and smell the roses. Just enjoy the process of moving along.
What advice would you give those seniors looking to play on the professional circuit?
Train hard, get down there. I gave some advice to a couple players from other schools that wanted to, look into doing that, becoming a professional and going and making a name for themselves. I think you pick a place and go move there and train with those people. And I recommend Santa Cruz for the West Coast, as opposed to Southern California and Laguna and Hermosa Beach and Manhattan. And I'd go to Santa Cruz, play there, travel from there, and see how you do against those women, because there are sophomores in high school that are AAA volleyball players right now. So there's a lot of them. It's like trying to be a pro baseball player. Do you make it to the major leagues? Enjoy the process getting there.
What advice would you give those coaches looking to get started in coaching as a head coach for a beach volleyball program?
Have an open mind. Do your research. Try different things. Steal from other people. Be a thief. We all are thieves, Brandon. We all say, hey, I like that warm up. I think I'll do that warm up. So, or I think I'll do that drill, or I love that part of it, or the way she talked to that player. Be willing to be a thief and steal stuff from other people, and instead of trying to do it all yourself. be adaptable because, when I actually told the president of the college before we even started our first season, when I ran into him, he says, "How do you coach beach volleyball?" And I actually said to the president right after getting hired, "I'll let you know when I find out," because you don't, it's different. It's different. And if you've been an indoor volleyball coach, it's different. You're not taking 6 people in 900 square feet and getting them to move. You're splitting your team into groups of 2, and it's different. So you have to be adaptable, open-minded. You have to learn from others that came before you, and just try different things.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Southern Oregon's beach volleyball program at?
Um, our Instagram is SOU Raiders Beach Volleyball. I am not on social media, Brandon. I'm sorry. I'm not. My wife is. I think it's SOU Raiders Beach Volleyball is their Instagram. But we're all over the place, so they'll find it if they want to.
Thank you again, Coach Paul Elliot, for your interview, and best luck in your future with the beach volleyball program at Southern Oregon.
Thank you very much, Brandon, for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Paul Elliot, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.